The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Getting kids excited about science, technology, engineering, and math is a goal they are achieving at Kingsland Public Schools. On today's show, we talk with students to learn more. Craig Johnson joins us later to discuss community engagement. And for our weekly Vision 2020 segment, and joining us this week is Eric Connett from the Business Friendly Environment Committee. Stay with us for On Cue.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
STEM initiatives, that stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. They're quite popular with school districts, and a number of projects are taking place in our region. Folks at Kingsland Public Schools are one great example of how to do it right. They recently received national accreditation for their engineering and biomedical science programs. Andrew Brewer, Brandon Ballier, and Sarah O'Connell are here to share their story. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Teacher, two seniors.
Yep.
How did you get interested in the STEM program? Was it something you knew about, or did somebody have to tell you about it, or how did it happen?
I didn't find out about it until the school year started this year, but once I found out about it, I was really excited to start the classes.
Extra work?
Not too much, but I mean, it's more than like your regular class.
Okay, and you're biomedical, right?
Yep.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I think I know what medical means, but bio, I'm not sure. Why don't you fill us in? What kind of classes do you study there?
Our biomedical science class is mainly focused on the human body, so it's learning about everything from how the heart works to how your muscles and your nerves interact, and like different diseases you can get from medical problems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brandon, are you also biomedical or another?
No, I'm on the engineering side. I
Okay.
learned about it last year when we started the programs, and I just kind of got thrown into it, not knowing what was going to be ahead, and I love it.
And is it like an after school deal, or is it during the school day?
It's
How does it work for you?
Just during the school day.
So it's not extra classes above and beyond?
Nope.
Okay. And it's one class or a whole bunch that are part of this? In your schedule, like in the fall, will you just have the one class or a group of them?
I just have the one.
Engineering.
Yep.
Which means something technical, I know, but
Yeah.
why don't you help me with that too?
We use a program on the computer called Autodesk where you can render a drawing in 2D and then create a 3D model out of that 2D sketch.
Wow.
And it's pretty much limitless for what you can make.
Wow. Andrew, is that your expertise? Do you teach?
That's one of the classes. I have Brandon in class, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And what's the purpose? I mean, high school, I know this is new, but high school, I was supposed to just be goofing off and having fun and not taking all these serious classes, biomedical and engineering. These are top-rate classes.
It's serious, but most of it's hands-on work, which kids, I think, enjoy. So a lot of it's just continuous doing projects and activities that they don't realize they're learning as much as they are.
Is this a push away from or towards more of a technical career? Is this a career-focused
It can be,
agenda?
yes. It can be that, and also can be just an exploration to see what they enjoy, because right now, jobs that are being trained for in college aren't going to be there in 2 years after they get out. There's going to be new jobs created every day. So technology is advancing so fast, so it's partly that and also partly just an exploration for them to discover what they want to do.
And is this a curriculum of some kind that was certified in the East Coast or something?
Yep.
Or certain class types? How does that work?
It's Project Lead the Way is what it's called, and it's a national certification. So they go from coast to coast throughout the United States, and we have Gateway to Technology, and we have Engineering and Biotechnology, the only school in the state to have all three certified. So they have to come in and inspect, make sure we have all the equipment we need and all the curriculum, and teachers have to be trained out throughout the summers on each one of these classes of how to teach them.
Talk a little bit about the three different kinds that you mentioned: engineering, biomedical sciences and Gateway. Why don't you start with Gateway and talk about what that entails?
Gateway is more for elementary and middle school students, so it gives them a lot of foundations. They'll do some of the inventor training, which I have, which is a design and modeling class. It teaches them the design principles and modeling principles, just your basic understanding of how the process works. And then there's other classes we have at the 6th grade level, which is flight and space and in the environment. So they also learn about the environmental products that are going on out there, different things in flight and space and stuff like that. And then my engineering class, which Brandon's in, we are getting more in depth in the design and engineering elements of it. So they have to design something, then they have to engineer it. So they have to do both aspects.
Well, what does that mean?
So that means,
design, I kind of understand that part, but
so they'll be given an outlook that they have to do. Like a company would come to them and say, I want you to build me something. They have to design it, then they have to build it. So they have to go through the whole process like an engineer would out in the real world. So I would give them aspects that they have to do. Like right now they're working on a reverse engineering. So they bring in a product that has at least 5 moving parts. They have to take it apart, they have to sketch it, model it, and they have to try and do something that creates a better product out of it.
Wouldn't it be more fun to build those robotic saw things that have the fights, you know,
Yeah.
what are they called again?
BattleBots?
BattleBots, yeah. Didn't they do that for a while in schools?
Yeah, so we still have some of that, not that, but we have first robotics in our school too. So we actually do that too. We program robots and go in competition. They have to do a certain, whatever it may be, that we'll find out in January what it has to be for this year.
Okay. And do you think more about, like, what are you going to do after high school? Do you have your mind made up yet at all, or?
Yeah, I do actually.
What's your plan? If you don't mind sharing.
No, I don't. I'm going to the U of M, probably for biochemistry, and it's majoring biology and chemistry basically, and then going to med school for 3 years.
Okay. Did you have that interest prior to finding this class? Like
Yeah.
So this was really neat.
Yes.
For you that this came along. So it kind of solidified what your desire there.
Because I knew I wanted to do something in the medical field, but I wasn't exactly sure how far I wanted to go, but this class really made me decide that I wanted to become an oncologist. So.
All right, what about y'all there, Brandon? What are you up to? No idea yet, or got a plan? Or?
I got sort of a plan. I plan on going to get a gunsmithing degree first, and then I'm going to be going to probably UTI for a high-performance automotive
What does that
degree.
mean? What's UTI? Is that a...
Universal Technical Institute.
Oh, neat. And gunsmithing, that is such a specialized skill.
Yeah.
I've done stories about people like that, and it's really a science.
It is.
It's really interesting to watch them work. So, and I don't think it's that I mean, I think it's a pretty. If you have that skill, it's a pretty valuable thing. Any extra equipment or room space that you needed to take all this on?
Yeah, we've gotten some new labs for computer stuff. Then the biomedical, they just redid all their labs there for that too as well. So brand new space. Then we're looking at getting SIM in next year, which is SIM. Okay, it's automation through manufacturing. So it's manufacturing mills and things like that. So you can actually, like they do in industry. So that we'll have to buy some new products for that too.
So no more just drill presses and fun stuff like that?
We still have that, yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, normal stuff.
Okay. Yep. How about interacting with the curriculum that you had before and the faculty members and all of that? Did you have to do a lot of changing of curriculum and so on?
Not so much. We kind of aligned it a little bit more, and then also we have other teachers besides myself as an industrial technology teacher. We have one of our math teachers. He is teaching the digital electronics, so it goes more in the math realm, which worked well with him than our science teachers are doing the bio. So we get cross curriculum all the way through, and we're working on getting into English stuff and things like that for the kids for reading, for technical terms and things like that. So we're trying to integrate that into our language courses that we have, because technical terms are very difficult. So
what about funding? Does the certification allow you to get some grant funding?
We got a grant funding to start us, and then after that we're working on partnership with Mayo and other industries around the area that we're trying to get involved in, because it helps them produce more engineers and people that are for the highly skilled workforce that we need for the future. So
how many students are taking advantage of this or are allowed in?
Like the younger classes, they all take it. So I have a 7th, 8th grade, and 9th grade class, and it's a mandatory class for them to take that. And then they get to 10th, 11th, then we have the IED, the POE that's more of an elective, and then we'll have the sim that's elective, and some of the biomedical will be electives.
Is there a grade threshold? I mean, or can anybody join?
Anybody can join, yep.
How many students about high school?
Well, 7th through 9th all take it.
Brandon and Sarah, thank you very much.
Yep.
Good luck. And Andrew Brewer, thank you for coming in. Wonderful program. We'll be back with more of our show. Craig Johnson will join us when we come right back.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
Welcome back to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. Well, on our short history of this program over the last couple of months, you've had a chance to see and visit with some community leaders, quite a few of them actually, who have come through our doors, and we've been happy to welcome them all and get their views. We're going to talk to one now who has a long, long history in Austin, in Mower County, and has really helped grow the community and make it a better place to live. Our guest right now, Craig Johnson, and happy to have you here. Thank you for coming in, sir.
Thanks, Eric.
Still practicing law part-time,
That's
or
right.
not too often, since 1972.
That's right. But now I'm pretty much part-time.
Pretty much part-time, which means you're only working 80 hours a week or something like that, probably.
My partners wouldn't agree with that.
Well, you're working also with the Mayo folks here in Austin, and have for some time.
Yes.
With the foundation. Talk a little bit about that.
That grew out of some of my volunteer work. I was on the board of trustees of Austin Medical Center for a number of years. And in 2002, we created a foundation to support the local medical center. At that time, they asked me to be the president of that as a volunteer, and I did that for a few years. And then our director, hired a director, left to do other things, and became a nurse actually. And they asked me if I would consider doing that part-time as a director of the foundation. And I was kind of at the point in my law career when I was ready to start looking toward winding down a little bit. So I took that on, and I worked half-time for the medical center, Mayo Clinic Health System Austin, directing its foundation.
And who does the foundation fund? What's its mission?
Just our local medical center and our satellite operations, so Austin, Adams, Grand Meadow, Blooming Prairie, and Leroy. And we raise funds to be spent for the betterment of our local medical center, our local outlet of Mayo Clinic Health System.
So what about your background? You said when you moved to Austin. Tell us about when you got here and how you came to settle here.
Well, I got a job out of law school, and I found a law firm. I kind of wanted to be back in a small town. I grew up in what was then a small town, Owatonna, and it was about half the size of what Austin was at that time. Now it's a little bigger. And I kind of want to get back to a small town, and looked around for towns in Minnesota and found a law firm and two lawyers that I really enjoyed meeting and was impressed with, and they offered me a job and I took it. And came into a rural setting, a non-metro setting. It kind of was comfortable for me. It's the kind of town I sort of grew up in, and I just always enjoyed being involved in community. I've always thought of it, in a way it's kind of a selfish thing rather than altruistic. I want to live in a nice town. I want to live in a nice community. And I think if you want to do that, you need to do your part. Roll up your sleeves and do your part to try to make it a better community. So I've been involved in a lot of community things. I've just enjoyed it. I've liked the social part of it. I've liked the things that I could learn, the meeting people, and so over a long career, you've been in a lot of things, and that's why I've been in so many things. But
well, and getting engaged in this, it takes extra work and energy on a person's part. at first, at least, when you start getting involved, or were you always kind of a person who wanted to be in the middle, in the thick of things?
I guess I've always kind of been a joiner, and when I was young, I was in a lot of activities, and I like to be active and be involved with people.
Is it primarily law? When a group comes to you, can you help us? Is it because of your law expertise, or are you all over the map as far as how you help the community?
Well, boards seem to like to have a lawyer on the board.
I know.
And I think sometimes they're kind of hoping that's what you do. But I don't look at that as legal work. I like the strategizing, the thinking about the future. I like solving problems. I like getting people together, and if there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, let's listen to everybody and get input from people. I learned this in Blandon Foundation training. If you gather people together and we all listen to each other, first of all, we're sometimes surprised we learn some things that we didn't think of ourselves, because the group will give us a little more input and thought. Second of all, by gathering people together and listening, you get input, you get buy-in. People like to be asked. And so if we can gather around a table with an issue in our community or in business or with clients or in families, you can gather around the table and talk it through, and people buy in. They then will go along with what you're trying to accomplish quite often. And that's enjoyable, it's rewarding, it gets us to a better result.
Mm-hmm. I know in our case, new to the community was just about last year when Vision 2020 came up, and so my wife and I have been able to jump right in with all of those different projects.
Yeah, and what's so appealing about that is 10 areas. So if you're interested in some facet of a better community, or there's something you just enjoy doing, there's a place to get in. Austin's always been blessed with outstanding civic facilities, thanks primarily to the leadership of Hormel Foundation, the Hormel Company. And so if you're interested in the community, it's really helpful to have that kind of support and be able to do the things that over my lifetime in Austin, living here, since we came to town, has been just dramatic accomplishments. Nothing to do with me, but with what's here and the direction and leadership that we have and the funding, it makes it a joy to
But it takes people to make it work, and you have a list of achievements over the many years, honored by just about every civic group in town, and the chamber. Was 2 years ago?
Yeah, a year before this, yes.
Yes. What are your concerns about the community? I mean, going forward, is it crime? We've had, there seem to be more shootings. We were just at Rotary the other day. They were talking about prescription drug problems in the city, or are there other concerns you have?
We're becoming more like a bigger city, aren't we? And it's small towns in the Midwest, we've always been kind of isolated and living in a world that really isn't the way much of America and certainly the rest of the world lives. I don't worry too much about that, because these things happen other places, and people learn how to deal with them. I've always been most concerned about economic development. I've always thought that's where I wanted to put most of my effort. I think we need increasing population. The things that people want to have in their community often come with more population, and we need to have we have a very strong economy. We're tremendously blessed in Austin with the economic powerhouse that we have. But to broaden that, to diversify it, to add to it, enhances the community. And if we can have more businesses, that also strengthens the community and makes it more attractive to the people that our leading industries are trying to attract. Jobs for the spouse who's being attracted
trailing
to.
Spouse,
Yeah, trailing spouse. And our leading industries, of course, are Hormel Foods and education in the medical center. And as we try to attract teachers and doctors and scientists and managers and executives, very often now, of course, the spouse has a career too. So more population, more economic opportunity, will continue to progress everything for all of that.
And the trailing spouse, when you bring the top level executive here, might help them stay in Austin.
That's right. Yeah.
Instead of living somewhere else
Right.
or leaving the community.
Right. And then when we get people committed to that, and people who want to work in their careers, they take an interest in what? Schools, because what's their number one concern? Their children. How are they going to raise their children? They take an interest in schools and in the arts, the symphony orchestra, the arts center, and then the various things we're trying to do. And so we get an improvement then, and a more interest and improvement in all of our institutions that support a community and that make a community worthwhile. So I think it starts with economic development. One can argue, well, maybe you need the other things first and the economic development will come. I'm sure that's true, but I put most of my emphasis on economic development.
Well, and the downtown is developing, and thanks to a lot of your efforts.
Well, that that was a little bit more other people, but DCA had something to do with it.
Well, and you were there too.
Yeah.
You were there for quite some time. So
Right.
Craig Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your service also to the community.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll be right back. Speaking of Vision 2020, we'll be right back with our weekly look at Vision 2020 right after this.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org. On Cue's Vision 2020 segment is brought to you by Hormel Foundation, Games People Play, and Turtle Creek Estates.
And welcome back to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. Time now for our weekly Vision 2020 segment. And joining us this week is Eric Connett from the Business Friendly Environment Committee.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we're talking about ancillary things as part of what your group is doing to try to bring new companies, new ventures to Austin who might not know about us. How's the committee work going? What are you learning?
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of things to go through. There's 3 sections we're looking at. It's not just for new businesses, it's for existing businesses.
Okay, what are you looking at?
One is a financial section of it, trying to make sure we have the money to bring in these businesses. The number one thing businesses need when they come into any community and they're starting up, whether they've had some experience and they want to grow, is cash. And so one aspect is looking at the cash funds that are available either through funds or possibly even generating a self-fund in the community where people could possibly contribute to it for businesses to come here.
Okay. What else?
The other part of that financial aspect is also having possibly a spec building, a place for people to move into, because buildings are very scarce, and making sure they're ready to go is another hard thing. The second one is also having a workforce. One thing that was very impressive with Dubuque was their story about IBM. Coming down there, going through this great tour, it sounded great, but having 650 resumes ready to go the day they left.
So you went down to do like a road trip?
No. This is when they came here and they talked with us about what they did. And that's one thing that Sandy's actually heading that group from the chamber. He's heading that group up.
Sandy Forstner. Okay.
Yep.
So in other words, when a new employer comes to town, you'd have a list. Hey, here's some folks that are ready to go. A
workforce list, correct. Groups of where they are, what we can find for them, and what we have for qualifications.
And that's something that doesn't exist presently, or it would be cumbersome.
It is.
For a new employer coming to town.
Correct.
So just be able to tell them, hey folks, if you come to Austin, we've got X, Y, and Z ready to go. That's a value.
Correct, yes. And also the labor is a big deal. And a trained labor is another real big deal. Working with Riverland, they've expressed excitement to open up any program if it was specific to an industry if they wanted to move here. They'd be more than happy to do that for us.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's great. So it's just basically you're getting people together, sharing ideas, and creating one location. Is that the goal?
Correct. That's the goal. One location. One location, one focused area for the workforce, yes.
Okay. Another issue that you've been discussing, I understand, is the quote-unquote trailing spouse situation, which is when somebody comes to work in Austin, and if they're married or they have a partner, how to find employment for that person. Is that sometimes a limiting factor?
It is. There's been a lot of things that have come out about how people have to live in Rochester if they live in another community. One, because they have more shops. It's more comfortable for them to be in a bigger city, or the jobs are there. And sometimes the number one reason that we believe is out there, and we're going to be researching this, is that they haven't done enough research in Austin. There hasn't been someone to take them around, and that's another focus, is to have like that greeter that shows them around town, shows them what Austin really has to offer, and help them get through the community.
When we came to town, the closest thing was the realtor.
Yes.
Who kind of drove us around. But other than that, especially on a professional level,
yeah,
to find employment, is that something that a city or a Vision 2020 can help with?
Yes, yes. Realistically, there's a lot of resources out there. We have a lot of employers that are in town that are already using a lot of resources. If we can bring them together, the Chamber's HR group is one group that will really be focusing on how they find their employees, and then especially finding out what's going on with their spouses and what we can do for them.
Okay, and that's another offshoot of business-friendly environment.
Correct.
Of the Vision 2020 group.
Yep.
Okay. So you'll be meeting, are you still looking for more folks to join?
Yes.
You?
Yes, we're always looking for people to join with excitement and ideas. We're just starting to break into the 3 different categories.
Okay, so and they can get that info from the Vision 2020 website?
Correct.
On how to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Eric Connett, thanks so much for bringing us up to date.
All right, thanks.
All right. And that'll do it for this edition of On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.